Today, we're digging into a pretty powerful idea, something that's shaping our world in ways we might not even realize. We're talking about the new architects of influence.
So, have you ever been scrolling online and just gotten this feeling? Like all the noise, all of the anger, it isn't just random. You know, that little voice that says, wait a minute, this feels engineered. Well, you might be onto something. It's that feeling that the division we see isn't an accident. It's actually by design. It starts with this endless stream of outrage. And then boom, there's this sudden, really intense pressure to agree with something, a consensus that seems like it just appeared out of thin air.
And of course, there's that constant barrage of information, the kind that feels like it's not really meant to make you think.
But instead, it's designed to just bypass all that and go straight for a gut reaction.
Well, according to the source material for this explainer, that gut feeling you have, it's spot on. And no, this isn't some conspiracy theory. It's actually a very, very profitable business model. So let's dive in and unpack this.
Okay, so first things first. We need to get a handle on who actually owns this new system. Who are these new information moguls calling the shots? I mean, just look at the consolidation of power we're talking about here. It's pretty wild. You've got individuals like Elon Musk in charge of X, which is basically our global town square. Then you have Mark Zuckerberg with the whole Meta empire, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, the whole shebang. And on top of that, you have these huge media giants like Sinclair and Nexstar, who've been quietly snapping up hundreds of local TV stations, literally controlling the news that millions of people see every single day. So what you end up with, it's not some secret backroom conspiracy. It's more of a business structure, really. A huge integrated system where tech, data, and media all merge together. And its whole purpose is to steer what we think and feel, but, and this is the clever part, to do it in a way that looks totally organic, like it's just bubbling up from the grassroots.
Okay, so that's the who. Now let's get into the how. What exactly is the blueprint for influence here? How does it all work?
Right, and this is where we see a really fundamental shift. You know, the old media model was pretty straightforward. Advertisers paid to get their content in front of your eyeballs. Simple. But the new model, totally different. In this new economy, it's your emotion, your anger, your excitement, your fear. That's the actual currency. That's what pays for a message to spread. And this brings us to a really crucial idea, something the source calls the economics of emotional control. The real product that these platforms are selling, it isn't news and it isn't connection. It's something researchers call affect, which is just a fancy word for our feelings, our measurable, predictable, and, yep, sellable emotional states. The more we react, the more valuable we are to the whole system. The source material puts it so well. It says, what was once the marketplace of ideas has become the marketplace of emotion. It's like our feelings are being put up for auction. So the big question is, how do you actually turn all that emotion into real influence? Well, one of the key tactics is something called narrative laundering. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the process of taking a fringe idea or even straight up misinformation and washing it through layers of amplification until it comes out looking clean, legitimate, and like mainstream opinion. Here's the playbook. Step 1, a coordinated message. Picture a bunch of influencers and a whole network of digital outlets all start pushing the exact same talking point all at once. Step 2, the algorithm kicks in. The platform sees this sudden burst of activity and engagement and basically thinks, whoa, this is blowing up. So it starts pushing that message out to millions more people. And by step 3, it's hit the mainstream. To everyone else, it looks like this spontaneous organic movement. But the reality is, it was totally engineered from the get-go. Okay, so this isn't just happening in a digital vacuum. This system has some serious real-world consequences. And one of the most damaging, honestly, is what it's done to local news, basically hollowing it out from the inside. This is where we get a phenomenon called pink slime journalism. Have you seen these? They're websites designed to look and feel exactly like your local hometown newspaper, you know, with a name like the Oak Creek Chronicle or something. But when you look closer, the content is just templated, maybe even written by AI. And it's all designed to push a very specific political or corporate agenda from someone miles and miles away. And the impact, it's been absolutely devastating. Just look at the drop in the number of truly independent local news sources. It's just plummeted. We're losing the very watchdogs that were supposed to hold local power accountable. the ones that gave us shared context and helped us agree on a basic set of facts in our own communities.
And here's the bottom line. When those trusted local voices vanish, they leave behind a vacuum. And you know what rushes in to fill that vacuum? Disinformation, nationalized cookie-cutter outrage. And that just drives communities further and further apart.
All right, this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and this might be the most important part of this whole thing. This isn't just about the content we see anymore. It's about owning the infrastructure of how we think.
So here's the formula for power in the 21st century, right here. It's not enough just to control the narrative, the story you want to tell. You also have to own the network, the pipes through which that story is delivered. When you control both, that's when you get a truly seamless, almost invisible form of control.
And just to be clear, we're not talking about infrastructure like roads and bridges here. We're talking about the invisible systems that literally mediate our reality. The servers, the algorithms, the cloud systems, even things like biometric sensors that can read our physical reactions to content.
And what's the ultimate goal of all this? According to our source, it's to make manipulation indistinguishable from reality, to make influence so seamless, so deeply baked into the tools we use every day that we don't even recognize it as manipulation anymore. It just feels like reality.
And that brings us to the final big concept from our source material, emotional architecture. It's this idea of deliberately engineering our information environment to bypass our rational minds and go straight for the feels. The argument is pretty stark. If propaganda defined the 20th century, then this emotional architecture is what's going to define the 21st.
So, that leaves us with a pretty heavy question, doesn't it? In an age of emotional architecture, where the very environment we inhabit is designed to provoke and persuade us, how do we protect our own thoughts? How do we hold on to the simple act of thinking for ourselves?